All right. Are we live? Looks like we're live. All right. Wonderful. All right. Cool. Because I got to say, I have like zero plans for today's live stream. I just got off of a private lesson where we were talking about film scoring, actually. It was a lot of fun. We were talking today about hit points. It was with Pat. I wonder if Pat's going to make an appointment here. Pat was one of the very talented composers who submitted music for last month's live stream feedback. And so he's been working with me for a couple lessons now. And today we were talking about hit points and spotting films. It was a lot of fun. It's one of my favorite things. I love teaching harmony. I love teaching melody writing. I love teaching film scoring. It's my favorite thing to teach. I teach a lot of different things. But one of the cool things is on the lesson today, since we started working with film scoring today, and he wanted to learn specifically about tempo mapping and stuff. We had to pick a film. So I've got a collection I've been scouring my hard drives, and I found I've got 8 or 9 short films that I have access to that I'm just gonna start working with my private lessons and stuff now. So it's a lot of fun. But yeah, what should we work on today? Flim Flammery, welcome, my friend. Let's see. So yeah, I have no plans today. So here's what we'll do. While we wait for some more people to show up, I'm going to talk about my new free ebook. This is a little fun passion project. This is a lot of fun to get you guys involved with on Instagram. This is a free book. It's a shorter one. I want to make it very clear. This is not a music theory textbook. This is not a textbook of any sort. This is literally a guide to how to figure out the things you need to know if you're self-taught. So when I first started off, I am a largely self-taught composer. I took a couple classes, but for the most part, when I first started off, especially for the first several years, I had to teach myself everything. And so this is the method I came up with to basically identify what things I need to learn. Because that was the hardest part about being self-taught, is not knowing what you're supposed to know, not knowing what skills you're supposed to learn. So this approach, it's got a worksheet, it's got a step-by-step approach to basically figure out what do you want to be able to do, what are you currently capable of doing, and what is kind of the gap between the two, and how do you bridge the gap? So when you finish this ebook, it comes with an EPUB, so you can have it like e-readers. It comes as a PDF, comes as an audiobook. I'm experimenting with a couple different formats. And yeah, so check it out. It's free. It's kind of like a thank you for being part of a wonderful, wonderful community here. And yeah, check it out. So let's see here. Film Timer, I just got it. I quite liked it. It's a really good companion to the musical storytelling. Thank you. Thank you very much, my friend. Let's see here. So, what should we do? What should we do today? So that's kind of the advertisement. Check out my, that's the lesson plan from today. So yeah, if you want it, again, free download, 100% free book. Go here, download it from my website. Fun little resource. But let's get to work on something, shall we? Let's write, anyone got a challenge for me? Let's come up with, maybe try some chordal harmony. Let's come up with, let's do some, like a minor harmony kind of thing. We'll copy and paste this. We'll change this down here. So we've got a nice little chord progression now. Let's change this one. That's good. I'm going back to D minor quickly. Let's see here. Forlorn, honestly, I've been great help. It's been great help validate my own plan I already had set up for a few months ago. That's awesome. Thank you. I'm glad you're finding it enjoyable. Memory, have ChatGPT give you a random D&D backstory and character and write a theme. That's my chance for you. Let's do it. Let's do it, shall we? That sounds fun. All right, ChatGPT, give me a random D&D character backstory. All right, here we go. This is the character. Let's see how long this takes. Bryn Ashwillow, race half elf, class ranger, background folk hero. Alignment, neutral good. Backstory, born in the misty borderlands between an elven forest and a struggling human farming village, Bryn Ashwillow will never truly belong to either world. Her mother, a reclusive elven herbalist, raised her in the shadow of the ancient trees, teaching her the old ways, how to track, heal, and speak with animals. Her father, a wandering human bard, left when she was just a child, leaving only riddles and half-sung songs in his wake. When Bryn was 16, a local baron tried to seize the farmland surrounding her village, claiming ancestral rights. Using guerrilla tactics and her deep knowledge of the terrain, Bryn led a group of villagers in a resistance campaign, sabotaging supply lines and spooking soldiers with traps and tricks. She became a legend overnight, the Phantom of the Briars. When the Baron's forces finally withdrew, the village begged her to stay and lead them. She declined. Restless and haunted by the blood she spilled, Bryn now roams from town to town, righting small injustices, hunting dangerous beasts, and avoiding the songs that bards sing about her past. She keeps her father's old loot strapped to her back, but hasn't touched it in years. Some say she's chasing redemption, others say she's running from it. Ooh, this is fun. Let's see here. So what are people saying? What are we doing? So Tamashi, what we are doing today, we just got a character background. Flimflammery had a really fun challenge. I have been given a character background by ChatGPT. I need to write a character theme for this. All right, so let's, actually, this is a good chance. Where's my book? My textbook is here. Let's pull up. This is a good chance. We're going to pull up Musical Storyteller, 2nd edition, draft 4. This is actually 3rd. This is the 3rd edition. I have been updating the textbook. Everyone who has purchased a copy of this textbook is just going to get this update free. This book already has about 50 it's going to have about 50 extra pages by the end of it. It's got better examples. It's got audio samples. I am currently on chapter 17 with my edits. So like you can look through here. I've got some better samples here. They're all labeled. They're all more uniform. I think where was it? Chapter 15? No, chapter 14. No, 13. Chapter 13, which is the one largely about melody writing, has undergone a fairly dramatic rewrite. Still the same basic information, or put in a different order. Better way of approaching things. So there's going to be some dramatic rewrites in this book. Like I said, it's going to be between 50 to 100 more pages by the end of it. But the reason why I'm pulling this up right now is for chapter 19, my approach to character writing. And again, everybody who's already purchased a copy of the book, by when the new version comes out, I just give you a free update. I've done that the last couple times I've updated it. If you buy unfortunately, I can only give out free ebook copies. I don't have the money to give free physical copies. But if you buy a copy on Amazon, you're just going to send me like proof of your purchase, and then I'll send you a link to a free download. And then everyone who's downloaded it will have be sent a new download link on my website. But this is what I want to teach. This is what I want to work with. So we want to try and figure out as much about this character as possible. All right, let's create a new document. This is our tool. And this is what we're going to do together. All right, we are going to figure out, and we are going to, in one stream, come up with a sketch for this theme. So character's name, Bryn Ashwillow. All right, character's function. She is the hero. Our main character. What makes them unique? Why do they need their own theme? What are the character's most important traits? So let's go with this first. Half-elf. That's pretty important. Let's remove the space afterwards. So, actually, let's come back to this question. Let's go back to the background. Historical, geographical, socioeconomic, etc. Write a short biography of the character using the answers to these questions. How is their past shaped? Who are they? Sorry. So we very easily already. So this, one thing I'll say is right now we're working with an actual character description. We're not working with a script or a film. A lot of these questions you have to come up with ourselves. But right now we basically have this answered already. All right. Bryn was born in the misty borderlands between an elven forest and a struggling human farm village. All right. So she's felt like a bit of an outcast. All right. So we've got the background. She doesn't feel like she's part of either world. When she was local, she was part of a war. She used her knowledge as a half-elf, someone as an outsider, not really belonging to the village. But she used her outsider knowledge as a way to help defend the village. And not only did she did such a good job that they wanted her to stay as like their leader, the village leader. She declined and she left. So these questions right here, I think, are going to be the most important for us. All right. What are the character's needs? So a psychological need of the character is something the character needs to learn about her. It's how she overcomes her weakness. A psychological weakness of a character is a thought, a belief, or a behavior that harms themselves. So right now, this character is restless and haunted. All right. 1 second. Give me a second. I want to know. I'm trying to think if I want to go through this entire process, because this is going to take a couple hours. I don't think I'm going to go through the entire thing. Instead, we're going to kind of do a quick version. Okay, if you want this whole process, here's what I'll say. If you want this entire process, 2 resources. The best resource is my textbook. This textbook, The Musical Storyteller, is literally dedicated to this entire thing. How do you translate worlds, characters, and emotions in music? How do you tell stories with music? This is the best resource. Physical copies are on Amazon. Ebooks and are available on my website and on Amazon. Again, regardless of which one you get, once I release the new edition, the 3rd edition, if you've purchased it, you're just going to get the upgrade for free. I don't believe in charging twice. However, if you're only interested in characters, top composer, character themes. Where is it? So my shorts on Instagram are popping up. Where's my video? Why is this video used to call YouTube? There we go. How to compose impactful character themes. This video right here will go in depth on this entire process. But because I'm not trying to stay on screen for hours, let's do a faster version of this, shall we? And what I'm going to do is I am going to come up with, I'm going to use the 9 parameters. Tempo, texture, timbre, rhythm, register, harmony, pitch / melody, dynamics, and articulation. So what we're going to do is we are now going to go through each of these one at a time. Ideally, the steps that we were going to do is there's a step there to help you get to know the character as closely and most intimately as possible, so that you know the character just as well as you know yourself, so you can follow these steps. Because what we're going to do now is we're going to look into each of these. Let's do 20. We're going to go with each of these parameters, and we're going to start brainstorming different ways each one can be used to bring the character to life. All right, let's check comments real quick. Steven's World, this is a really weird question about how can I turn an acoustic digital guitar to a harp? To make it sound like a harp. That is unfortunately, it's a question that I wouldn't really be able to help with. There's a lot of stuff you could do. I am much more of a music theory person, much more of a composer. What you want is much more of a sound designer. Someone who can take audio and transform it to sound like something else. Unfortunately, that's just not something I can really work with. I do recommend just trying to find a good free or cheap harp library to work with. But yeah, sorry, that's out of my area of expertise. It's not something I can really help with right on a live stream. I Rosa. Hello, can we just pop our questions in chat? Yeah, go for it. Yep. Seems well, she could think the dad left because of... I like that. The character thinking that her dad left with her. What stuff do you need to make a mock-up? Flimflammery. To make a mock-up, you just need a DAW and some sound libraries. That's all you need. A mock-up is literally just a strategy for bringing a character to life. Not a character to life. To bringing instruments to life. So like a piano. If you want to make a piano mock-up, you just need the piano and the DAW. A mock-up is literally just taking sound libraries and making them sound more realistic. So you just need sound libraries and a DAW. Let's go through this character real quick while we wait for some more questions to pop in. All right, tempo. From what I know about this character, let's just stick with a simple. Keep it simple. Simple, I'd say around 85 BPM. All right. Something else I like to consider with tempo is pulse. I would like pulse is how the BPM is interpreted across different layers. I would like to work with a mixed meter, all right, or an odd meter is what we'll call it. Compound meter, which is a mix of simple and odd meter. I'll explain more about this in a bit. Texture. How do I want the different layers and number and types of layers of my music to bring this character to life? I would like to work with some rhythmic accompaniment. Something asymmetrical to highlight kind of like the folk aspects of this character. So work with the rhythmic accompaniment. Melody should be more lyrical. Accompaniment should be more rhythmic. So all I'm doing is taking what I know about this character, and I'm going through each of these parameters, and I'm just coming up with the best ideas I have. What are the first thoughts in my mind? So timbre. I don't really have time to create a new sound palette, so I'm just going to go with strings plus flute. All right. Rhythm. This is where I have the most ideas. I want an asymmetrical rhythmic pattern at the center. Something that feels vaguely other. All right. Register. Nothing really comes to mind. Harmony. I do want my harmony to be modal. Use modal harmony. Phrygian? Mixolydian? I haven't decided whether I want this to be major or minor. Do we want this to be minor? Mix of minor / major. We got a couple different ideas we can work with. Pitch, melody. Maybe try working with a pentatonic scale. Pentatonic scales tend to be very common in folk music. Dynamics, nothing really comes to mind. Articulation, nothing really comes to mind. So right now, I have a working description of my music, right? And all of this was just by taking what I know about my character, taking each of these parameters one at a time, and just brainstorming how can I use this element of my music to bring it to life. And you'll notice I did not use all 9 parameters. I only ended up using 6. You don't have to use all 9. You don't need to spend, but the more time you spend with the character, the more sources of inspiration you have. The more time you spend thinking about each of these parameters, the more concrete of a description you can have. So again, if we want to go back to my book, this is my textbook. It is being updated to be a 3rd edition, not 2nd. 3rd edition is going to have about somewhere between 50 to 100 more pages added. A lot more information, better examples, better audio. And again, if you purchase the copy now, don't worry, you will get an automatic free update. I've done this to a couple different people. So when I updated my Music and Emotions book, when I updated this book, I always send free copies to everybody who's purchased it in the past. I do not believe in charging twice for the same thing. You guys are supporting me. I want to show support as well, not just through my lessons, but through my appreciation of that support. But the tools that we are learning today are from not chapter 9. That was 9 parameters. Are from chapters 11, which goes in depth on each of these 9 parameters and provides questions you can use to answer each of these, so you don't just have to kind of come up with it yourself. So it's got a worksheet, and it's also from chapters, where is it? Chapter 19, which is all about how do you study characters, how do you find inspiration and stuff. I am doing a very watered down version of it right now. Usually when I'm working on a soundtrack, I spend a significant amount of time studying my characters, studying my worlds to try and get to know them as well as possible. But this is the live stream. I am limited in my time. So let's jump at it. If you want this book, again, go to my website, bookshop, right here, The Musical Storyteller. It's got some amazing reviews from wonderful people. Kenneth says, I think this is one of the best modern music books out there, from easy to follow chapters to a companion summary, ongoing from members of the YouTube channel of the author, together with other books and classes. It has made music fun and a journey worth storytelling. Thank you, Kenneth. You guys can see lots of really cool, awesome reviews. Again, physical copies are available on Amazon. Click this link, it'll take you there. If you want to see everything on there, table of contents can be found here. It's a 13-page table of contents. Let's get back to the music, shall we? So, easiest stuff right off the bat. Tempo, let's set it, 85 BPM. And let's work with, we'll stick with 4/4 time for now. So the next thing that we have, let's come up with harmony. I think, let's do Mixolydian. So Mixolydian, for those of you who aren't aware, is a mode. It is a major mode, meaning it starts with a major scale. And we take that 7th scale degree and we lower it. All right, so we can build our chord progression using this scale. Let's try just something super simple for now. And then we need a scale, the chord that uses. And then we will do another B flat major. And then we will do we can do, and then we'll just end with a regular. So here's our chord progression so far. Let's swap these two around, actually. Let's do an F major here. So we're not hammering the, so we're not hammering away at the modal sounds. Let's end with a deceptive cadence, actually. So this is our chord progression. Next, let's add a bass line. And so here we have our harmony taken care of. A nice little modal sounding chord progression with lots of personality at our tempo. So now, let's bring this up. We'll just leave it that way. Now let's create our uneven rhythmic ideas. So I said I wanted to use compound meter. So simple meter, like 4/4 time, splits each beat into into twos. So 4/4 time is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Compound meter splits it into threes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Odd meter mixes the two together. And that's what I want to do with this. So I want to go 1 and 2 and 3 and let's see here. Let's actually do, we want to do, let's not use triplets. Let's do eights. So let's do 1 and 2 and a 3 and a. There we go. So there's our odd meter. Chop that up. Chop that up. And we'll keep this very simple. Just the same repeating 3 rhythms. In fact, let's give it more of an asymmetrical feel. 1, 2 and a 3 and a 1 and a 2. And then we'll repeat the original. And then we will go the group of 3, group of 2, 2, 3, group of 3, 2. We'll keep chopping this up. And then we will find this. So if we do this and chop this up, we will have our rhythmic identity so far. We will chop this up a little bit. We will change it a little bit. This is just to highlight where the metric stresses are going to be in our music. And that will be important for our melody. All right, so we got questions coming in. From Flammery, what DAW do you recommend? I recommend Cubase, mostly because Cubase is my favorite, but any DAW that you work with is fine. It's all about which one do you know best. Pro Tools, I would say Logic, FL Studio, and Cubase seem to be the best suited for film scoring. Pro Tools seems to be really good for mixing and sound design. Ableton is fantastic for electronic music. But yeah, my money is always Cubase. I'm a diehard Cubase fan. Forlorn, think of what makes a harp sound like a... awesome. So Forlorn's given some great advice. Flim Flammer, you should do a mix of major and minor. Kind of what I did with the Mixolydian mode. Mixolydian mode gives a combination of mostly major with a little bit of minor in there. IKI Rosa, my biggest difficulty in orchestration is when more than one instrument plays the same pitch while doing different things. How can you write material that overlaps in pitch without losing clarity? Because I know that instruments playing the same pitch would generally blend together. Fantastic point. This is going to be, I'm going to recommend a video for you. Tabletop composer, always type in my name. 3 pillars. This video right here. 3 pillars of strong orchestration will give you an answer in much more depth. But for now, let's do a very quick answer. That there are 3 pillars of orchestration. There is separation, there is focus, and there is balance. They are these 3, and they are in a hierarchy. Separation. Each layer should sound distinctly as its own layer. All right, so if a person's listening to music, you should be able to tell the difference between, oh wait, that's the melody, those are the chords, this is the bass line. Each idea, the idea is that if someone's listening to your music and they really wanted to focus on a specific layer, they could track it. They could hear, oh, that's the counter melody. It's moving from the clarinets to the oboes to the French horns. Oh, now it's in the cello. They should be able to follow it if they want to focus on it. Focus states that at any given point, the audience's ear should focus on the layer you want them to focus on. That means if you've got a melody, your arrangement should be done so that the melody is the most interesting layer. It's the one that everyone's going to, by default, pay attention to. Obviously, if they listen to the music a bunch of times, they might start focusing on some other cool stuff that you're doing. A lot of music nerds like us do that. But the idea is, once every layer is separated and it has its own identity, each layer should also be placed in a hierarchy. Is it in the foreground, background, or midground? Foreground tends to be the most important material. Background is the material most important for giving the foreground its personality. Things like chords, bass line, the stuff that if it wasn't there, it wouldn't, like the foreground would not have the personality it has. Then midground tends to be the stuff that's somewhere in between. Stuff like ear candy, counter melodies, stuff that it's not necessarily contributing specifically to the foreground, but it's still providing important personality to your music. Balance states that so long as you have accomplished proper separation and proper focus, all layers of your arrangement should have approximately the same power or presence. All right, your bass line does not need to be super quiet compared to your melody. Your counter melody does not need to be super quiet compared to bass line. They should all be comparably equally powerful, because as long as you have paid attention to separation and paid attention to focus, you're good. It doesn't matter if you have a super loud bass line. As long as you got separation and focus, it's not going to pull focus. Now, there are tools for this. Separation, you can separate them by pitch, articulation types, rhythm, and timbre are all beautiful strategies for ensuring that each layer has its own personality. If your melody is higher in pitch than your bass line, is generally more legato and lyrical than your bass line, has its own rhythmic identity, it's following its own rhythm, and has its own little instrument or like style of playing, then it's going to sound very separate. And you can use these across different strategies. Across focus, novelty, that's change, demands the most attention. A line that is developing and growing and going somewhere will demand more attention than a layer that is repetitive and repeating its main ideas. Rhythmic activity is next in the hierarchy. An idea that is very rhythmically active will demand more attention than a layer that's not rhythmically active, unless that rhythmically active layer becomes very repetitive and has time to establish that it is very repetitive. Then it's not going to demand as much attention. And then finally, pitch. All things being equal, a layer that is higher in pitch will demand more attention than a layer that is lower in pitch. But this is the weakest, this is the second strongest, and then this is the single most important. And again, if you want much more detail on this, check out that video I showed you. My textbook also has entire chapters dedicated to orchestration and arranging. So again, I am going to put you guys in the direction of my textbook. I also have a new free ebook. Check this boy out. It's designed a worksheet, a workflow to help you create, like basically if you're teaching yourself how to write music, this book is designed to help you figure out a game plan. To help you figure out, all right, these are the things I need to learn and this is the order I need to learn them in. All right, so that's that. If you want to learn much more about composition, you'll notice that on my textbook, you can find the table of contents here. Part 3, so chapters 22 to 35 are all dedicated to orchestration. And you will see, which chapter is it? This is all instrumentation. Right here, yeah. 3 pillars of orchestration. So chapter 27 goes into actual, like all of this in much more detail as well. So give that a check. I hope that helps. But yeah, so my answer would be if you're trying to make sure that layers are overlapping, but they still sound clear, pay attention to separation, pay attention to focus, pay attention to balance. There are a couple other things you can focus on, but again, these are the most important. So Larry, will the 3rd edition update all the pages or just add pages? Do I need to print it all out or just new pages? It's a couple changes are different. Some of the changes are different. You don't need to reprint it if you don't want to. The biggest changes in the new edition of my textbook that I'm working on are updated samples. I am also introducing musical audio samples. So like I have actual audio samples that I'm including with all the visuals as well, which is something I really should have done from the first get-go. But there will be audio samples as well. And then occasionally, like I said, chapter 13 in particular, my chapter on melody writing, I have dramatically improved as a tunesmith since writing this book about like 3 years ago, I think maybe. Not saying that the information in the book wasn't good. It's just I have had a lot more experience. And so I've rewritten this entire chapter basically about phrase structure and writing melodies. And so this entire chapter is rewritten a little bit. It was updated with new cool ideas and stuff. No, not chapter 13. Chapter 14. No, not chapter 14. Which one is it? Which is the one that goes over phrase structure? Okay, no, yeah, so it is chapter 13. The first half of this chapter got rewritten quite a bit. But let's see here. I teleported bed. Do you have any advice on creating chord progressions with different modes? Functional harmony seems to be the only applicable to major and minor keys. Yes, I do. In fact, my most recent video is all about this. I'm going to be releasing several videos. This video is actually underperforming compared to what I was expecting. Oh, it's doing better now. But for the longest time, it was underperforming. This video talks about writing, reharmonizing with the Dorian mode, and then writing interesting modes. Chord progression. So that's what I did here. This is a modal chord progression. Mostly. So we're working on this theme, but I usually recommend period structure or sentence structure. Pick any two chords. So writing in a chord progression in a mode. Writing modal chord progressions. Use either period structure or a sentence structure. Sentence structure being ABC. Period structure being ABAC. So pick a mode. Start with your tonic. Tonic followed by a characteristic chord. A. So characteristic chord, I explained when I wrote this for Mixolydian. Most modes have a characteristic tone. This is the C major scale. To turn the C major scale into C Mixolydian, you just take the 7th scale and drop it a half step. That's it. One note difference. This one note difference is the characteristic tone. A characteristic chord is any chord that contains this characteristic tone. So, starting off in your first 2 bars, start off with your tonic chord, C Mixolydian. The tonic chord is the chord that it's named after, so C major. And then any chord that contains that characteristic tone. So, in a major scale, it'd be C major to C major to G major. However, in Mixolydian, it goes C major to G minor, which has a very Mixolydian sound. So then, sentence structure says a period structure says come up with a new idea. So I picked 2 different chords from the same mode. Any 2 chords I wanted. C major to F major. Those are both from C Mixolydian. That's fine. Then period structure says repeat your original main idea with a little bit of variation if you'd like. In this case, I added variation by changing F from G to F. The other notes stay the same. And it gave me a slightly different chord, but it's still the same general sound. Then I end with a cadence. Again, if you want a more in-depth tutorial, check out my most recent video. I am in a little bit of a rush here, just because people want. I want to finish this challenge. Michael Clark, interesting, very systemic approach. I use Cubase and I'm currently overwhelmed. Oh, hey, Michael, I recognize you. Yeah, Michael's one of my newest students. Yes, I take a very systematic approach to everything. My approach to melody writing is systematic. My approach to harmony is systematic. My approach to orchestration is systematic. You will find that every professional composer has a systematic approach. They might not be as technical as mine, but everyone has a replicable workflow. There is a myth that composers just sit there and come up with something magically. That is not the case. Every composer has a system. Because if you are to be a composer, that means you have to finish your products. You have to meet the deadlines, especially media composers. You have to meet the deadlines. You can't sit around waiting for inspiration, trying to find something that sounds cool. You have to have a system in place to create something. Hans Zimmer has a system. John Williams has a system. John Powell has a system. Alan Silvestri has a system. Every major composer has a system. And there are really cool podcasts like Score the Podcast or Disney Force Scores, where they talk with the composers and they learn about their systems. But everyone has a systematic approach because at the end of the day, this is not just an art form. It is a craft. It is a skill. It is something you need to be able to do and perform. So let's work on this melody real quick. All right, so let's pick a couple notes from each chord. We'll do... And then this is G major, so let's go. So here I have my motif. Let's do this. Bring it over here. And so what I'm doing is I'm trying to match these chordal tones to the underlying harmony. Because eventually, I'm going to create some cool kind of thing. Right now, these sound clunky. They sound a little blocky. I'm going to come up with something cooler. But I'm trying to figure out where am I going to emphasize my melody. And where these notes are broken. So 1 and 2 and a 3 and a 4, 1 and a 2 and 3 and a 1 and 2 and a 3 and a 1 and a 2 and 3 and a. Because that's how I would count this. This is technically like 3/4 time with uneven beats. 1 and 2 and a 3 and a 1 and a 2 and 3 and a. It's a weird asymmetrical rhythm. And that's what I kind of want, to create this kind of feeling of other for this character. And so then I am going to take this idea. I'm going to repeat it since we're using period structure. And I am going to repeat the basic rhythmic idea, but I'm going to change over here. And so here, now that I've got the basic idea fleshed out, let's listen to what the shape of my melody is. Because this isn't my finished melody, it's the shape of my melody. All right, so now we've got I like that better. So now let's chop up these a little bit more to make it a little more rhythmic. We'll chop these up. Bring these up a little bit more. Let's chop these up a little bit. Trying to make sure that I still follow proper rhythmic accents. All right, there we go. So then let's take this. I can just copy and paste this C major over here. That'll be easier. And we'll take, replace this C major as well. Let's take this A minor. We can replace that with the C major and then just change this note. We can take this F major. Then we can take this B flat major. And then this was a G major. And then we can take all of these. Let's shorten them, make them a little crisper. What's going on here? Why can I not? Let's do this. There we go. So we've got, what's with that? I'll probably turn this into an arpeggio in a little bit. But I kind of like the melody so far. Let's chop this one up a little bit. Yeah, this I don't think I need to change much on the melody, actually. So my main motif goes. Let's do. Let's leave it like there. Let's try another arpeggio here. Let's try what happens if we make this, instead of rhythmic chords, what happens if we make this an arpeggio? And I'm going to make sure that I'm still highlighting let's actually do an upwards moving pattern. Each time starting, highlighting where that beat starts. And then let's do, then this was here. And then let's stretch these a little bit. This is a G. Then we can replace the C major over here with another C major arpeggio over here, making sure to pay attention to our rhythmic identity. Let's listen to this again. got, let's see, that's what we gotta do. 1, 2, 3. So it's 1, 2, 3. So it goes 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So then this would be a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And these. Let's replace this with our C major that we already had. And then let's just take this. We'll just copy and paste as well. So this needs to be a B flat major, first inversion. Let's bring this up to a D. Bring this up to a B flat. And we'll take our C major. This needs to be a G major, second inversion. That'd be D, G, and then B. And then we need this one to be an A minor, first inversion. Oh wait, it was first inversion. And so now here we have a very rough, very rapidly written character theme based off the description I was given. We could try doing a couple things like, let's lower this down a little bit. Make the bass line. Get the bass line lower as well. Lower the volume a bit. See how this sounds. And so yeah, it's a simple idea. Had to do it live, but it matches the character description that we were given, right? It feels a little magical, feels a little sad without being overly sad. Feels a little unusual and alien because of the weird tempos and all the weird rhythmic emphasis. And all of it was able to be done because I followed that very simple process of start off with information about my character, go through the 9 parameters of music, breaking down how each one can help be used to bring this character to life, and then to start sketching. All right. So again, I cannot emphasize enough how very limiting these live streams are in terms of how much information I can go in, how much detail I can provide, and just how much prep I'm at. This is live. All right. I had no idea I was doing this. I had a wonderful recommendation by Flimflammery to use ChatGPT to create a character description and then write a theme for that character. I had fun with it. But if you want something that was designed to share this entire process in depth, again, I'm going to give a plug. Check out my textbook. Again, literally, this is I genuinely believe, like, I'm not just saying this because I have a huge ego, which I do, but I think this is obvious. I think this is genuinely one of the best music textbooks out there. And I'm very fortunate to have some reviewers who agree, like Kenneth, who says this is one of the best modern music books out there. So check it out. If you want to learn more about what it's in here, it's in the table of contents. The entire process, the entire concept behind this book is to start off with someone who wants to write music but has no idea what they're doing, to teach them every skill they need to, by at the very end, be writing for a modern orchestra the kind of music they want to write. Check it out. If you don't have the budget, check out my free book. This is one that I'm just doing for fun as a kind of a thank you to the community and as a passion project. This is a guide to basically creating your own curriculum, figuring out, all right, this is the kind of music I want to write. This is my current skill level. Here are all the things I need to learn, and this is the order I need to learn them in. That's what this book is for. check that out. And yeah, I think we will call it a day because I have some company coming over. Michael Clark, thank you, Michael. Happy to help. I Rosa. Flim Flammer, I have a performance on Sunday. Wish me luck. Good luck, Flim Flammer. It's wonderful. Good for you. I am a terrible performer, and so it's been a long time since I've done anything like that. But good luck. 23, next week you should write a song that could be used as a professional wrestler entrance theme. That sounds like fun. I actually quite enjoyed this. I would love to see what we could do with this piece. In fact, I'm going to save this because I do think I like this. I'm a sucker for that sound. That major 1 to minor 4. Just such a beautiful, beautiful sound. Which makes it's no surprise that it is the opposite of my favorite sound. The minor 1 to the major 4. And if you reverse those to same exact chords, just different order. But yeah, so that brings it to the end of the day. Thank you, everyone. I had a wonderful time on this stream. I hope you did too. And yeah, check out my textbooks, check out the stuff on my website, check out my pages on Instagram, all that stuff. I do have room for one more private student. If you are interested in private lessons, check out Tabletop Composer, private lessons, and fill out this application here. Prices are $90 for a single lesson, $250 for 3. Every lesson comes with a 1-hour instruction, one-on-one, detailed notes written by yours truly on everything we covered, and a recording of the lesson. As well, if you are interested in film scoring, all my students get access to a library of... Let me pull this up. All my students get access to a library of short films. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 short films. Each one complete soundtracks. Not soundtracks. Each one has dialogue, sound effects, no music. So you can work on building your portfolio with guidance from a professional composer. So that's my advertisement, because your boy gotta eat. I will see you all next week. All right. See ya.